Hello everyone, my name is Tim Schrady. I'm Director of Instruction here at TSGI, Bradenton, Florida at the River Club Golf Course. What I'm going to do today is just show you some exercises just using simple alignment rods, because one of the most important things that we can do when we practice is we practice the right way and we practice with feedback. And just going to Lowe's or Home Depot, getting yourself a couple alignment rods like this can serve a multitude of different purposes to help you get better a lot faster and to give you feedback when you practice. So that's what I'm going to go over right now, is just some of the alignment rod uses that I use with a lot of my students to help them get better and practice with feedback when they're by themselves. So let's go over them. Just some simple ones that everyone knows is alignment station. So you can see I have this alignment rod here that is going to establish my ball position, so I can see if I'm hitting driver inside my left foot, or as the club gets progressively shorter, it's going to move further back. So that's this one alignment rod for ball position. Then if I just stand this way down the line, you can see this one can serve for my aiming. So I know that all my body parts are aligned squarely and I'm aiming where I want to get the ball started in its direction. So simple ones right there, okay? Now, other thing that we can do with our setup with the alignment rods is get the alignment rod underneath the balls of my feet so I can feel where my balance is. If I get too much on my toes, I feel my heels are come up, or back on my heels too much, I can feel the toes come up. So I'll just rock back and forth, feel it settle in the middle, and I can feel that alignment rod underneath the bottom of my arches, which helps me establish some balance in my swing, which is very important. So let's go over some more uses of the alignment rod. So a lot of people have tendencies where they sway too far back in their backswing. So what you can do with the alignment rods, if you're a right-handed golfer, stick it outside your back foot just like so, angle it inward slightly. So then the goal is, when you make your backswing, is as we're completing our backswing, is that we rotate inside the alignment rod, so then my pelvis is starting to move slightly to the left. What we don't want to see is the alignment rod moving to the right. So you can set it up here along your heel, or another way is you can set it right outside of your right knee, just like this, so we don't have pressure moving it this way. One little added benefit this can use, say, for your downswing, if you have a tendency to fire your right side, let's say, really aggressively and too fast in transition, you can feel when you start in transition, just for that split quarter of a second, that I'm staying on the alignment rod right here. So there's two purposes. If we sway too much, and if someone has an overly aggressive, really fast right knee, I can stay on this like so. Okay, so there's some great ways. We can do the same thing over here on the left side. If I take my address position and place it a couple inches outside of my left hip joint right here, I want to make sure when I start down I bump back into it, and then I'm going to rotate inside of it instead of getting excessively slidey where I push it way down or I never get to it. I'm going to make sure that when I start down I bump back into it, and then my left side is going to clear back out of the way. Same thing here. I can put it right next to my left knee right here. So as I wind back, my left knee will come off and then it will rebound back into it. So that helps me also with my transition. How you can use it right here in your swing, I'm going to take the alignment rod, place it basically just on the left side of my torso. This is for a visual. So when I go back, I'm going to feel, for people who have a tendency, they don't really let their left knee or left hip or left side of the rib cage come across, or let their left shoulder come across. This is a good visual to feel how when you wind back, the left side is moving slightly behind that. So then what I can do is make sure the left side's behind, so then when I start down, it moves back in front, and then I can get to impact where I feel like my belt buckle and my sternum with my irons are definitely in front or on my left side of this alignment rod right here. So it's a good visual purpose. I'm just going all over the place with these exercises, so here, because everybody has different things that they need help with. So here's another one. Just put the alignment rod straight up and down in the ground, depending on what club you use. Let's say, this is a pitching wedge I have, so this is going to be virtually in the middle of my stance. Then what I'm going to do, this is going to help me feel impact. So I'm going to preset impact, push my pelvis forward, open up my rib cage, have a little tiny right side bend, and I'm really trying to feel like the shaft I'm trying to push it over. So you see that gets my left wrist really flat, right wrist extended back, and I'm really pressurizing the shaft. You see my hands, looks like to me my hands are right over my left shoe. Go back, do it. Try to keep your head more over the alignment rod as you do that. So that's a great little feel also that you can do with the alignment rod to help you feel impact. I mean, if you want to as well, like with it up here in front of you, you can really see visually how the left shoulder gets behind that. If you have trouble, say, tilting left a little bit, you can see how my left shoulder in front of it now gets more behind the alignment rod. So there's a couple easy things you can do there. Now, let's say down the line, a couple things that I can do. Let's say that you have a problem where you go too much outside to in. Well, I'm going to take my address position, take the alignment rod about 1.5 feet behind me, angle it pretty much the same angle as the shaft. So then as I go back, I can feel how my club is going to work a little bit more in. And then as I come down, my club then is definitely going to come more from the inside. So that can give me a really good sensation. Let's say someone has a tendency to take it inside too quickly. Well, then I'm going to come set up and put the alignment rod basically a couple feet back right on my toe line. It's pretty much same angle as my club that I'm hitting. And you see as I move the club away, it stays more in front of me. So there's some really good ways. If you have a tendency to go too far out or too far inside, just positioning this alignment rod in certain aspects that gives us feedback. If we're going too far outside, I can see that the club's coming in a great direction. And then if I'm someone who likes to fade the ball, as I come down, I can get the club back in front to get my swing direction going a little bit more to the left to hit a fade. So let's say someone who's, again, slicing the golf ball. So what we can do is take the alignment rod like so, stick it in the ground, and we're going to tee up a golf ball right here at the very end of the, right straight underneath the alignment rod. So what that's going to force me to do is I can't take it outside again if I'm going way outside my backswing. It's going to make me come back on a little more inside track. Now as I come down, I can swing down more inside of this, which is very important, because if I come down over the top, I'm going to hit this. Same thing you can do, put it in this angle right here, tee up the ball underneath it like right here. So again, if I'm coming over the top, I'm going to hit that. So it's forcing me to come more inside and underneath. Okay? Another good one is if I take my address position, I'm going to put the alignment rod in the ground like so, and I'm going to set up so my hands are just inside of it. Slightly, maybe back up just a hair more than when I was. So then when I come down, I'm going to make sure that my hands stay in, my pelvis stays back, so then I can swing instead of some people who get way up and out. So that's really good for feeling impact, okay? Now, some other ways that we can use the alignment rod. Take it, put it in between the first two belt loops of your pants. Take another alignment rod, place it from right heel kind of to left toe, like so. So what I can see here is as I go back, a good amount of pelvic rotation. So these pretty much match up. So as I go back, I try to match those up, just like so. So that's a good way to feel it. Also, this is a good visual. Let's say someone has a tendency to turn their pelvis really, really soon. So you can see right away how fast this is moving. So let's say I try to keep it a little bit more passive at the start of my golf swing. Another way that this is really good, if you have a tendency to fire your body in and your arms get stuck behind you, there's no way that you're going to get to the golf ball. So as we wind back to the top, it's a good sensation to feel the arms get back in front as my pelvis kind of pushes diagonally back and away from the target line. So my arms get back in front, and then the rod and my arms can swing through together. So those are some other great exercises how to use the alignment rod. Now, one more quick thing with someone who slices the golf ball. If I take the alignment rods and I set them like so, I could actually create a little inside out pathway like so, just with two alignment rods, or I can create like a tiny little plane board where it stays in front, comes back in front, and stays in front on this side. But if you're a slicer, you can feel it more in to a little bit out, just to give you a little bit more of a sensation. Another great thing that you can use with the alignment rod is I'm going to set it at a slight angle into the ground, just like this. I'm going to put my, basically the hosel of the golf club right up against it. Use it again as like a little playing board. So as I go back, you can see I'm letting the shaft ride up the stick, and basically when I get to the end of the stick here, I'm going to just let my wrist gradually hinge. So it's great just to get a feel if I want the start of my swing to stay in the correct direction. So then what you can do if you're a slicer, to feel as we come down, we're just going to hook the club face underneath it is a way to feel. We're coming from the inside. Or let's say if you're someone who needs to get the club back in front as we start down, you can feel it ride back down that way on the way through. So those are some really good ones. Let's go over a couple more that we can do. So let's stick the alignment rod like so. Again, this is how you can feel movement. I'm going to scoot up here a little bit. So if I want to get my left knee a little bit more across, I can set it in the ground like so. As soon as I feel it hits it, then it's going to rebound back. I can do, if I have too much movement again in my right knee too fast, or if my right knee sways too much, let's say in my backswing I just try to keep it on there, or if I'm starting my transition I try to keep it behind that and then fire through is another way to feel that. Or let's say someone might have a tendency on their backswing, I can put this here on my right foot. Let's say they have a tendency to come up too quick and then it's going to roll off. Or if I want to keep a little bit quieter right foot starting down, I'm going to keep that on there until I strike the ball, then it's definitely going to come off. Okay, a couple more. Let's keep going. If you want to see what like the plane of your golf swing or the direction that your golf swing is swinging on, put the alignment club on the side of your shaft like so. When you start, it's going to be touching your left hip. So if you want to practice the start of your golf swing to basically your right thigh, as I move everything away, the stick is still going to be touching me. Okay? Then from there, you can see how I've hinged my wrist and I've got the stick pointing in between my toes and the target line, closer to the target line. So if we look from this down the line view, we can see easily the plane of the shaft. As we start down, gets back to parallel and then through. So it's really good if you have someone who releases the club really early, they're going to have to keep their body turning through to keep the shaft from not hitting them. So that's another good thing, how we use the shaft. So there's many different ways that we can use these alignment rods. I mean, I'm sure there's hundreds more that you can do, but these are just, I've given you quite a few today in a short amount of time, just so when you practice, you can practice with feedback, and that's extremely important. So if anybody has any other great ways to use their alignment rod, please post it down in the comments down below, because I'd love to have some more. But hopefully these help you get some more feedback and help you hit some greater shots.